Welcome to another thrilling chapter of World Numismatic Finds, where today we uncover the top 5 rare UK 2p coins that might look ordinary at first glance but could actually deliver surprisingly big value. From the corroded 1997 piece and the heavily circulated 1988 example to the faded 1993 coin, the defective 1996 strike and the truly dilapidated 1985 issue, each of these humble 2p coins tells a unique story, and some collectors are now hunting them with fierce interest. Stay tuned as we explore why these overlooked pennies could be far more rewarding than you ever imagined. Let's get started up with the United Kingdom's 2p coin from 1997, this time in a noticeably corroded condition. At first glance, many people overlook this humble piece because of its face value and its familiar design. Yet, in the world of numismatics, even the simplest coin can take on an entirely new level of fascination when age, environmental exposure, metal reactions, and long-term circulation were combined to create a piece with genuine character. This video takes you through why a corroded 1997 2p has started attracting fresh attention from collectors, what makes it desirable today, and how its market value in dollars is currently shaping up. To understand why this coin has become so interesting, it helps to look back at the circumstances surrounding its production. The 1997 2p was struck during a period when the Royal Mint was producing enormous volumes of copper-plated steel coins, having fully transitioned from the old bronze alloy in 1992. This shift made the coin more susceptible to environmental reactions, which is why corrosion and surface decay on later 2p pieces are far more common than on their earlier counterparts. The design remained the iconic badge of the Prince of Wales on the obverse side and the familiar crown portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, specifically the third portrait by Raphael Maklouf, on the other side. Although this year isn't famous for any major die errors, the sheer production volume meant countless coins made their way into circulation, giving many of them decades to develop their own unique tones, textures, and imperfections as time passed. When you take the coin into your hand, the head and tail sides each tell their own story. The Queen's portrait, while still recognizable, takes on an almost ancient character in its corroded state. The metal darkens, small pits appear across the fields, and the original mint shine fades into a naturally aged patina. Turning the coin over, the plume design on the tail side often shows even heavier wear, with raised elements softened and the surface displaying a mottled, reddish-black corrosion that makes each piece visually distinct. Instead of diminishing the coin's charm, this weathered texture gives it a museum-like look, similar to artifacts pulled from the ground after lying buried for years. For collectors who enjoy the raw and untouched survival of coins, this style of natural corrosion becomes a feature rather than a flaw. The cultural and historical value of this coin rests not just in its design but in its place within a transitional era of UK coinage. The late 1990s were a period when older bronze 2p coins were steadily disappearing and the new steel variants became the everyday norm. These coins represent a moment in time when the Royal Mint set the tone for modern coinage that still fills our purses today. Beyond that, Queen Elizabeth II's portrait, now viewed with nostalgic respect following her passing, adds emotional and historical weight, making even an ordinary 1997 issue feel symbolically richer. Collectors often view coins like this as miniature time capsules, representing the style, technology, and cultural identity of Britain at the end of the 20th century. The 1997 2p, like all coins of its type, carries a weight of 7.12 grams and a diameter of 25.9 millimeters. Its copper-plated steel composition is the key reason corrosion develops so easily. The thin copper layer wears away during heavy circulation or environmental exposure, allowing steel to react and oxidize. This is exactly why many surviving examples from this period have uneven coloration or textured surfaces, natural changes that can actually make the coin more visually appealing for collectors who value raw authenticity. While the 1997 mintage itself was high, the key facts that push certain examples into greater demand revolve around how the coin has aged. A corroded condition may sound negative, but in the numismatic world, naturally aged surfaces from original circulation can stand out, especially when the corrosion pattern is even, interesting, or distinctive. Collectors often prize coins that tell a visual story, coins that have lived through decades of human handling, environmental shifts, and everyday use. This gives the 1997 2p a growing niche appeal even though it isn't considered rare by mintage alone. The charm lies in survival, not scarcity. As demand shifts toward unusual-looking and visually striking coins, corroded examples like this have been attracting more attention online, particularly among new collectors, TikTok numismatists, and hobbyists who love the look of aged metal. In the current market, a circulated and corroded 1997 2p typically sells for a few dollars, often ranging from around $1 to $5 depending on the intensity, uniqueness, and visual appeal of the corrosion. Exceptional examples, Coins with dramatic patinas or visually striking oxidization have occasionally sold for a bit more to the right buyer. While it's not a high-value rarity, the positive trend is that collectors enjoy paying small premiums for distinctive pieces, and this interest continues to grow each year. For anyone thinking of collecting coins like this, the best approach is to focus on eye appeal. Look for pieces with attractive natural aging rather than damage caused by cleaning or harsh handling. Never polish or scrub a corroded coin, as that destroys the very character that makes it desirable. Storing your coins properly will prevent further deterioration, and researching small differences in condition can help you build a collection that stands out. Even inexpensive coins can become valuable centerpieces within a themed collection, such as naturally aged UK copper-plated coins or late 1990s steel transitional issues. As we wrap up, remember that value in coin collecting is not always about rarity or flawless condition. Sometimes it's about charm, history, appearance, and the story a coin carries. The 1997 2p in corroded condition is one of those pieces that collectors now appreciate for its unique character rather than perfection. It's an affordable yet fascinating find that continues to attract demand, offering both beginners and seasoned collectors a small but captivating piece of British numismatic history. If you've got old jars of coins at home, you may just have one of these hidden away, so take a closer look, because even the most humble coins can surprise you with their story and appeal. 1988 with circulating condition, 1993 with faded condition, 1996 with defective condition, 1985 with dilapidated condition. At number 2, the 1988 2p coin in its circulating condition. At first glance it may look like an everyday copper-colored piece that passed through countless hands across shops, markets, and corner stores, yet there is an unexpected story behind it, one that blends British history, design evolution, hidden value, and a surprising amount of collector attention. This is the kind of coin that many people overlook, and that makes it even more exciting for those who enjoy the thrill of finding something special in their pocket or coin jar. The origin of the 1988 2p goes back to the decimalisation era, a major shift in British currency that reshaped how coins were used and understood. By 1988, the denomination had already become deeply embedded in daily life, and coins from this period reflect the transition from the early years of the new system to a more modern mintage style. They still carried the classic crown plume of ostrich feathers on the reverse and the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael McLoof on the obverse, a combination that evokes a very particular era of British numismatic identity. These coins quietly represent continuity, stability, and national pride as Britain moved forward through the late 20th century. There is also a strong cultural and historical charm attached to the 1988 2p. Its imagery and layout convey the tradition of the Prince of Wales feathers, a symbol with centuries of royal association. For many collectors, this coin carries a sentimental connection to a time when copper coins still circulated heavily before the later shift to copper-plated steel. This makes the coin a small but meaningful piece of living history, tying together heritage, monarchy, and everyday British life in one compact design. Physically, the 1988 2p comes in at 7.12 grams with a diameter of 25.9 millimeters, giving it that familiar solid feel in the hand. Struck in bronze, its warm color and durability allowed it to survive years of circulation, though naturally coins today show varying levels of wear. Even in circulated condition, many still retain impressive detail, while others show the softer textures and rounded edges that come from decades of use. That unique variation in appearance is often what collectors find appealing, as no two examples age in quite the same way. What makes this coin especially interesting is the set of small but meaningful facts that bring its story to life. The McLoof portrait used during this period is highly recognizable and often preferred by collectors for its sharp detailing. The reverse design, unchanged for many years, anchors the coin in a specific part of the UK's monetary timeline. And because 1988 is considered a mid-production year, examples in nicer condition are increasingly appreciated as people begin to collect modern pre-steel pennies and tuppences more seriously. Although the 1988 2p is not extremely scarce, circulated pieces are becoming more desirable as early decimal bronze coins slowly disappear from daily use. Many have been removed from circulation, damaged, or lost, and interest in earlier bronze issues is rising as collectors realize that complete year sets are harder to assemble than they once were. This shift has created a quiet but steady demand for coins from the late 1980s, especially those with appealing color and a decent level of detail remaining. In terms of value, the 1988 2p in ordinary circulating condition typically sells today for around $100 to $300, depending on the level of wear and eye appeal. Nicely preserved examples, even if not uncirculated, can sometimes attract a bit more when collectors are seeking clean bronze surfaces or matching year sets. What drives this interest is not necessarily rarity alone, but the growing awareness that early decimal bronze is becoming a niche of its own with upward-moving enthusiasm. For collectors hoping to make smart choices, it's worthwhile to keep an eye out for pieces with richer color, fewer scratches, and stronger design definition. Checking that the lettering and portrait remain clear can significantly enhance desirability among enthusiasts who want coins that present well in albums or displays. Circulated examples can be particularly charming when they retain a balanced tone rather than heavy corrosion or extreme discoloration, and these are often preferred by buyers who enjoy the character of a well-traveled coin. As we wrap up, the 1988 2p stands as a surprisingly appealing modern British coin, an accessible yet historically meaningful piece that bridges everyday currency with the traditions of royal symbolism and national identity. Whether you are just beginning your collecting journey or expanding an established decimal set, this coin offers a rewarding blend of affordability, nostalgia, and potential future interest. Sometimes the most exciting finds are the coins people walk past without noticing, and the 1988 2p is a perfect example of how ordinary change can hold extraordinary stories. At number 3, the 1993 UK 2p coin, especially when found in a faded condition, holds a quiet charm and an intriguing story that continues to draw interest from numismatists across the world. While it may appear ordinary at first glance, its age, the history behind its design, and the natural wear that comes from decades of circulation create a unique character that is increasingly recognized in the collecting community. This coin represents a snapshot of early 90s Britain, and every faded detail hints at the journey it has taken through countless hands and pockets. The 1993 2p belongs to the era when the Royal Mint was producing millions of bronze coins each year, still following the traditional design that had become iconic throughout the UK. During this time, the obverse featured Queen Elizabeth II, captured in the familiar Raphael Makhlouf portrait that was used from the mid-80s until the late 90s. The reverse displayed the celebrated badge of the Prince of Wales, with its feathers and coronet, accompanied by the words ICHDN. These symbols had been part of British coinage since decimalisation and remained a powerful nod to the monarchy, the heritage of the nation, and the continuity of British design traditions. The cultural and historical value of this coin extends beyond its design. Coins like the 1993 2p remind us of a time before digital transactions became dominant, when physical money represented daily life, trade, and the passing of years in a tangible way. The fading seen on many of these coins today is a testament to their long service. Rather than diminishing their appeal, this softening of detail creates a sense of authenticity and nostalgia that collectors find appealing. It captures the essence of a lived life and offers a physical reminder of the era it comes from. The weight of the coin, like all UK 2p pieces of this period, is 7.12 grams, struck in bronze before the Royal Mint transitioned to copper-plated steel in later years. This traditional bronze composition means the coin carries a richer tone when freshly struck, and over time, the fading and mellowing of the surface create a natural patina that only age can produce. Even in a worn state, the weight and feel remain reassuringly solid, contributing to its continued collector interest. Among the key facts of the 1993 issue is its circulation volume. While not produced in small numbers originally, the survival of well-preserved examples is decreasing. Those that remain in faded condition still hold value because they represent authentic circulated pieces that genuinely reflect the passage of time. Collectors often enjoy the subtle variations in wear, toning, and fading that make each coin slightly different from the next. A faded example from 1993 can stand out due to its softness of detail and the historical aura it carries, giving it an appeal rooted in realism rather than mint perfection. In terms of rarity, the 1993 2p is not considered rare in its uncirculated form, but the growing enthusiasm for vintage decimal coins has driven demand upward even for circulated and faded examples. Many collectors are now seeking earlier decimal pieces as the generation that used them in everyday life begins to view them with nostalgia. Faded condition coins are increasingly appreciated for their story and originality, showing honest wear rather than damage. This rising interest puts the 1993 2p in a favorable position, especially as complete date-run collectors search for every year in any condition. When discussing market value in today's climate, a faded 1993 2p typically trades at a modest level, often between $100 and $400 depending on the degree of wear and the charm of the fading. However, the growing market for older decimal coins has shown a steady upward trend. For the collector who values history, character, and aging rather than perfection, the price can be slightly higher, especially when the coin displays an attractive natural patina or even fading across both sides that makes it visually appealing. Its affordability combined with increasing demand has made it a popular choice among beginners and experienced collectors who recognize its potential for future appreciation. For anyone collecting these coins, It is always helpful to examine the surface carefully and ensure the fading is natural rather than the result of corrosion or harsh cleaning. Collectors should also consider storing the coin in a protective holder to preserve what remains of its original detail and to prevent further fading. The more consistently a collector builds their set of decimal 2p coins, the more satisfying the collection becomes, especially when each coin tells its own small story of age and usage. Even lower-grade examples can be cherished pieces when they represent historical continuity and cultural identity. As we wrap up, the 1993 faded 2p stands as a humble yet meaningful piece of British numismatic history. It may not shine like a freshly minted coin, but its mellowed appearance tells a story deeper than its face value. With rising interest in older decimal issues and the charm of naturally aged copper-based coins, examples from this year have become increasingly desirable. Whether you are starting your collection or adding to an existing one, the 1993 faded 2p remains a wonderful piece to appreciate for its history, character, and steadily growing appeal in today's collector market. At number 4, the UK 2p coin from 1996 often enters the conversation, especially when it appears with a noticeable defect. This particular year of the 2p has become more intriguing over time, not because it is the oldest or the rarest coin in British currency, but because small minting imperfections, striking anomalies, and production irregularities can dramatically increase its desirability. As the market for unusual and fascinating UK coins continues to grow, the 1996 2p with a defect has carved out a special place among collectors who are constantly searching for unique additions to their collections. To understand why a simple 2p from 1996 can attract attention, it is essential to look back at its origin. During the mid-1990s, the Royal Mint was producing millions of these coins each year, ensuring they were readily available for circulation. The 1996 mintage followed the same iconic design that had been introduced in 1971, shortly after decimalization. On the obverse, collectors find the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II by Raphael McLouf, a regal profile that defined several years of British coinage. On the reverse, the famous badge of the Prince of Wales appears, accompanied by the inscription 2p, a design that symbolizes centuries of tradition. Even though the coin was intended for everyday use, the moment a defect occurs during the minting process, it steps out of the ordinary and becomes something far more special. There is also undeniable cultural and historical value attached to coins from this era. The 1990s were a period of transformation in the United Kingdom, marked by shifts in the economy, changes in technology, and the early signs of a new millennium. Everyday coins like the 1996 2p served not only as tools of trade, but also as small pieces of national identity carried by millions of people each day. For collectors, owning such a coin, especially one that carries a distinctive minting flaw, connects them to that specific moment in the country's history. The defective element only amplifies this sense of uniqueness, making the coin stand out in a world where most examples look identical. The 1996 2p retains the standard specifications for coins of its type. It is composed of bronze and weighs around 7.12 grams, giving it the familiar feel that UK citizens have recognized for decades. Its diameter, thickness, and coloring followed the established pattern, making any deformation, misstrike, offset impression, or unusual flaw immediately noticeable. When a coin deviates from this expected standard, even slightly, collectors begin to take interest because such variations are never repeated exactly the same way twice. Several key facts contribute to the appeal of this coin. While the majority of 1996 2p coins circulated in perfectly normal condition, those that escaped the mint-bearing imperfections were never intended to become rare finds. Yet they did. A defective strike could involve a weak imprint, slight doubling, misalignment of the die, or a surface deformity created during production. These imperfections occurred at random, meaning the Royal Mint did not produce them intentionally or in any measurable quantity. Because of this, every defective coin from 1996 is essentially unique, and collectors favor coins that carry individuality tied to a credible minting error. This brings us to the topic of rarity and condition. A normal worn 1996 2p does not attract attention, but a defective one in noticeable condition does. Even if the condition shows signs of circulation, the rarity of the minting flaw itself compensates for the wear. A defective piece moves from being an everyday copper coin to an item that stands out sharply in the numismatic world. Collectors often chase such pieces because they know these errors were never mass-produced, and once a genuine example is found, it rarely surfaces again on the open market. This scarcity is what increases its desirability and helps it maintain strong demand among enthusiasts who value the unusual and the uncommon. In today's market, depending on the type and clarity of the defect, the 1996 2p can achieve a surprising value. While a typical circulated example might only carry face value, A defective one can sell in the range of a few dollars to over $200, and in exceptional cases, even higher when the flaw is particularly striking or visually attractive to collectors. As the interest in minting errors grows across online marketplaces and numismatic circles, the value of such coins continues to trend positively. For collectors, there are several helpful considerations when dealing with a defective 1996 2 pence. Examining the coin closely under good lighting can help identify authentic mint errors rather than damage caused after circulation. Collectors should also store these coins carefully to preserve the natural look of the defect, as any additional scratch or deterioration may reduce overall appeal. Seeking advice from reputable coin groups or forums can help verify the type of error and give a clearer idea of its potential market value. It is always wise to compare similar error examples so one can understand the types of visual characteristics that command the highest demand. As this journey through the world of the 1996 defective 2 pence coin comes to an end, it becomes clear why this small piece of metal has gained such attention. What began as a simple circulation coin has evolved into a sought-after collector's item due to the unpredictable nature of its minting flaw. Its background, historical significance, physical uniqueness, and rising market interest combine to make it a compelling treasure for anyone exploring the fascinating world of British coin collecting. Whether you already own one or hope to come across one in your change, the 1996 defective 2 pence remains a charming reminder of how the smallest imperfections can create the biggest opportunities in the numismatic world. At the final stage, the 1985 UK 2 pence coin, a piece that on the surface may seem quite ordinary yet, in a dilapidated condition, carries its own intriguing story and growing curiosity among collectors. For anyone seeking to explore the true potential of a coin that has lived through 4 decades, this piece offers far more than its face value suggests. The origin of the modern 2 pence traces back to the decimalisation of the UK currency in 1971, when the Royal Mint reintroduced new denominations to replace the old pre-decimal system. By 1985, the 2 pence had become an everyday coin in nearly every British household, shop and workplace. Though millions were minted, each piece was part of a cultural shift in the country's monetary history. This particular year still belongs to the era when coins carried the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, a design recognised around the world and remembered fondly by generations of collectors. Even the simple inscription of new pence had already transitioned to 2 pence by the early 1980s, making the 1985 issue part of the newer wording that collectors still carefully differentiate when assessing older coins. Beyond its role as currency, the 2 pence coin from the mid-80s reflects the culture and heritage of the United Kingdom in a way few people notice. These were years of rapid social change, technological advancement, and the strengthening of Britain's identity in global markets. The iconic plume of ostrich feathers topped with the coronet, accompanied by the motto ICHDN, represents centuries of royal heraldry and ties the coin directly to historic symbols of the British monarchy. Even a worn, weathered, or damaged example still carries within it the echoes of that rich tradition, connecting the finder to the passage of time and the thousands of hands the coin may have travelled through. The physical specifications of the 1985 2 pence coin add further interest. Made primarily of bronze and weighing around 7.12 grams, it has a satisfying sturdiness that collectors appreciate. Its diameter of 25.9 mm makes it one of the more recognisable coins in the UK decimal series, and despite its simple composition, its durability has allowed many examples to survive decades of circulation, outdoor exposure, and natural wear. A dilapidated condition is often the result of environmental damage, extended use, or chemical reaction to moisture and handling, and each mark or corroded area tells another chapter in this coin's personal history. While the mint issued millions of these pieces, the fascination lies not in the mintage figure but in the state of survival. Collectors today seek unusual conditions, strange patterns, signs of age, and pieces that visually communicate the journey they've been on. A dilapidated 1985 2 pence may not be pristine, but it stands out as an example of natural aging that appeals to enthusiasts who value coins for their character rather than their shine. Such worn coins often spark conversations about where they may have been, how they ended up in their current condition, and whether their imperfections might even hint at unique environmental exposure or accidental chemical reactions that create unusual surface appearances. Despite the condition challenges, the modern market shows a surprising interest in older circulation coins when they present rarity in condition or strong visual appeal. A heavily worn or dilapidated 1985 2 pence typically holds a value ranging from a few dollars up to around $900 depending on the extent of the damage, the uniqueness of the surface, and the buyer's curiosity. While not every example reaches the higher end, the idea of discovering a decades-old piece that still draws attention keeps collectors searching through old jars, inherited coin boxes, and mixed bulk lots. Videos and online discussions continue to elevate interest in these older decimal coins, increasing demand among casual collectors and beginners who appreciate the history behind them. For anyone thinking of collecting or selling such a coin, the best approach is to view condition through both a practical and a creative lens. Even a damaged example can attract interest if photographed well, presented with its story, or paired with other coins from the same era. Keeping the coin dry, avoiding further oxidation and storing it in a simple plastic holder can help preserve the current appearance without altering it. Many collectors also enjoy grouping dilapidated coins together as a set that showcases natural aging across different years, which can increase appeal and provide a stronger storytelling element. In the end, the 1985 UK 2 pence coin in dilapidated condition reminds us that value in numismatics is not always confined to rarity or shine. Sometimes the charm lies in the survival of a humble coin that has endured decades of wear and remains a tangible piece of Britain's everyday history. Whether you discover one in an old family tin or come across it in a random lot, it offers both a nostalgic connection and a small but meaningful opportunity in today's collector market. As interest in older decimal coins continues to rise, these well-worn pieces are gaining fresh recognition, making them a delightful addition to any collection and a rewarding topic for enthusiasts to explore. Thanks for watching, and I hope today's look at these overlooked UK 2 pence coins has opened your eyes to the surprising profit potential hiding in everyday change.